Hello and welcome to another Batman on Film unboxing video. This is Javi and I will be unboxing the Tweeterhead 1/6 scale maquette of Batman in his neoclassic blue and gray suit. This is the variant version. The original is black and gray. This is a numbered edition. I've got number 22 of 220. I believe it was supposed to be 250, but it says 220 on the box. So let's take a look inside. You can see it comes pretty well protected in here. First impressions on just the box. I appreciate how we've got this sticker, it feels like, but it's nicely applied. It's a blue, it says blue and gray edition, obviously. And you scroll down to the main box, blue and gray edition. You can tell it's just before changes went through because it's got that old DC logo. But then if you pivot the box around to the side, you've got the Bat logo. And then when you get to the back, it has the image of the standard edition, which is the black and gray version, as you can see here. So I like the fact, and also no DC logo on that side, so I'm not sure how they interchange the box top, but I like that they show you the other standard version, which is more of your traditional looking Batman costume for right now, for the modern era, I guess. Since we've had so many costume changes and it depends on the artist, but I wanted the blue and gray because it just reminded me of like Hush and Batman R.I.P., where it did have more of the blue look to it, and I don't really have a lot of blue Batman stuff in my collection, and I thought this would be a nice addition, add some pop, because obviously my Batman Hot Toy figures are all either black or, in the case of Pattinson, black and gray. And Batman black and white statues are obviously black and white. So I don't have any classic blue Batman, which, yeah, it's weird, but he's been blue probably more often than he's been black in his career. So nice to have this in the set. I think it's just easier to look at it laying here on the floor because it's so big and heavy. Here you can see the gargoyle base, Batman's cape, the various heads, his body, and I'm assuming these are the arms. Batarang, oh, that's a Batarang arm. That is the smoke. But let's take a look at the heads really quick. He comes with a short cowl portrait and a longer eared portrait, and this is really tricky to do with one hand. So there we go. This is probably the one I'm most interested in because, I don't know, I like longer eared Batman than short eared. There we go. Let's take a look at these in front of the whiteboard. So here's a look at the short-eared cowl portrait. Pretty good. It definitely reminds me of like a Jim Lee or a Kubert style face, especially with the ears coming out like that. That's definitely an Andy Kubert, Jim Lee look. Actually looks pretty good. And then to compare, here's the longer eared version. Yeah, I like the scalloping on the ears. I think they did a good job capturing that. And then we'll do them both side by side. But it's really cool that they include both options for fans who may have, one preference over the other. So I appreciate that. So I don't really see any assembly instructions. This is the base. I mean, that's pretty dope. I love the little gargoyle thing here. It kind of reminds me of the League of Shadows or something from Ra's al Ghul, like from Batman Arkham City, the video game. but definitely it's pretty heavy for sure. But just lots of great texture on the piece. This pipe here has a lot of detailed coloring. It looks kind of rusted, a lot of wear and tear to it. It's really impressive. This rock pattern here, this breakaway rubble, reminds me a lot of my Flash Tweeterhead statue where he's standing on the street. Of course, the spine is pretty crazy looking too. And of course, on the other side, more of the pipe. I like the little talons here at the end of the bat wings. And you can just picture this thing being in the rain in Gotham and like water dripping off of it and dripping down. And it's pretty impressive. Let's see what the bottom is. All right, here it says 250, where the box I think said 220. But Batman Blue and Gray, 6-scale maquette. You got a nice little silhouette of Batman here of the actual statue. I don't remember if my Flash had that or not. And of course, you got the Tweeterhead logo and the now old DC logo. So pretty cool. I'm pretty stoked that I got a low number. It would have been nice if it was 23, because that's, you know, when the first movie came out on the 23rd and Arkham Knight came out, and it happens to be my birthday. But, you know, 22 is pretty cool. Pretty happy with it. But yeah, that is our base. All right, so here is the body. Got that Jim Lee looking Hush logo. A mixture of the capsule and the pouches belt. I kind of like that. I like that we have the variation. That's some foam on the back. But there's a part of me as a kid that really likes seeing the capsules, because that's what Batman was wearing when I grew up with. But I appreciate the pouches because I think that's more realistic for what he'd be able to fit in. But I like this. This is a nice combination of both, you know. And you got the boots, which I find like the tread is always interesting. Not a Jim Lee style tread, and there's like a W on here, which makes me think, is that supposed to be like a Wayne boot? But a lot of nice detail. You can see like costume seams, some folds in the fabric. And the gloves. And of course the big hole where the head would plug in and the cape. So we'll plug this in right over here. That's a nice snug tight fit to get it. Yeah, oh, that locks in so beautifully. Like that. That's pretty solid. And of course you have his foot resting right here. I know some people don't like how he's kind of half on his tippy toes, but I think it works. It gives some action to the scene. You can't even see all of Batman, but it's so tall already. So we're going to pivot this to the side a little bit. And right in here are some key points to plug in. So oh, and again, it's just a nice, comfortable fit as we get these smokestacks lined up here. And yeah, there's just a great color and texture to it. And it definitely brings to life this scene by having some effects to it and having the steam coming out from the rooftops. I'm really liking how this is coming together so far. Let's do the cape next. All right, so for the cape, you can see where the head plugs in right there, and where it meets in the front. You have a nice wave and scallop effect going on. And the back has a nice blue with some black, very subtle coloration in here. They did a really good job giving it like depth. So Let's plug it in like so. And that fits in pretty nicely. I keep saying nice, but it is really nice. This is the way it lays in. And there's a little gap right here, but I think that's just me noticing it. From this, looking from a different angle, I don't quite see it as much. I'm not even sure if you guys can see it. So let's go to the arm next. All right, so for the forearm, the right forearm, we have a batarang that he is holding. And just like before, you know, it's just going to key into that spot. Try and get some contrast there to see that batarang. But some nice definition on the forearms. One step closer. All right, let's go with the short cowl version first. Let's do that. There we go. And that's a Batman. How do I feel? It definitely has like a really nice presence. And I'm just being quiet because I'm thinking, how do I feel about these short ears? Like, it's not bad. It is not bad. I'm not hating that look. Whoa, if this had been the only version, I wouldn't be sad. It actually looks really good. Let's see what it looks like with the long ears. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I think that works for me a lot better. That's just my preference, you know. I can't fault you if you don't like it. I can't fault you if you do like it. Let's take a step back here. So we can see it in full. Sorry as I pan out. And of course, this is looking at the statue base head on. If we want to look at Batman head on, I mean, just a slight pivot to the side. Oh, that is it. Sorry for the shakiness. That is how you want to have it displayed, I think, to get that angle on the gargoyle. And it just, having it at the side like this just brings so much action and life to the piece. Pardon that styrofoam there. I need to get some air and blow that off, but that's really impressive. I'm really ecstatic with this piece right now. All right, so let's take a quick ground up approach. Yeah, I really like the whole pose and how the cape swoops back. And just the little atmosphere that this piece has. And, you know, he looks ready for action, throwing it at Joker or Penguin, whomever. There's a Catwoman piece that's coming out soon that kind of sort of pairs with this. You can see them both being on the same rooftop. She's in all black. She has 3 different heads, and then there are variants as well. So they recently announced, granted this is the blue and gray variant, to the black and gray variant, but they recently announced a retro, which has a brighter blue, the yellow oval, and the capsule belt. And then there's also a black and gray version of that. And then for that Catwoman, it's going to be a purple, you know, Jim Ballant 90s look. So having this now makes me really want to get the purple Jim Ballant look. I just feel like something about the longer hair makes that head sculpt look better. But having this, as much as I would like to get the blue and gray yellow oval one, this is really impressive. I am really loving this. Like I said, that base, although I'm a little worried about where I'm going to put it with the weight of the base. Like my flash base is pretty heavy, so that's on a low shelf. This feels like it needs to be up above because of that, you know, rooftop ambiance that it gives. But it definitely reminds me of like stories like Hush, like Batman R.I.P. And those are some pretty important Batman stories, I think. So it's nice to have a representation of that era, like I said at the top of the video. But hats off, Tweeterhead. I think they did a really good job with this. All the details look right. The paint apps on this are perfect. And I am extremely happy with this piece. This is easily the largest Batman thing I have. It says it's 1/6 scale, but it feels a little bit taller than a Hot Toy. I don't know, I'd have to stand them side by side. But the base also just gives it much more of a presence because it makes them that much taller. So let's take a quick look at what a similar piece would look like compared to this. The closest comparison I have would be this Robert Pattinson, the Batman Hot Toy. And because of that, that base obviously isn't as tall as this one, so he looks a little bit shorter comparatively. But you definitely get a sense of how he is not quite as tall as this statue is. So, but nice to see the black and gray next to the blue and gray. And a quick comparison, if you want to see Todd McFarlane's 7-inch figure on the right and an old DC Direct Batman black and white statue on the left. Just how much presence this figure has compared to those smaller scale ones. And like this Batman barely comes up to his foot. So I've got quite a few Batman black and white statues, which I adore all of them, but none of them are the size of this thing, which is 19.7 inches tall, I think it is. Here is Batman next to the Poison Ivy 1/6 scale maquette that they came out with a few years ago. This is an artist edition proof. I think it's number 5 of 50. So yeah, it's nice to see the Rogues together with Batman. You can get a sense of scale. It's hard to tell with her sitting compared to Batman who's standing how she would measure up height-wise. But you can see here just the detail that they do with the coloring of the plants, how the teeth get super gnarly, all the detail on the leaves. And oh man, there's even teeth inside the mouth. But they look good next to each other. And last but not least, we have the Flash from Tweeterhead as well. If you head over to the Up to Speed with Wally West YouTube channel, you can see my review and unboxing of this maquette. Same scale as Batman. Here it feels a lot more appropriate than the Poison Ivy who was sitting, where they both have bases that are relatively the same height of where they're standing. Although I think the Flash might be just a little bit taller, but I love that this Flash is in his classic suit, the classic color. This one's the variant also. The more regular edition had the modern color, which was a darker red. But since Barry and Wally both wore this costume, I wanted to get the classic color look. And while you can feel like he just came to a running stop, it doesn't have quite the sense of motion necessarily. It's the end of the motion versus Batman is mid-motion. But still just one of my favorite pieces, and it was my favorite statue. I think Batman might be taking the cake there because, I mean, he is my favorite character from DC, with Flash being a very, very close second. So it is nice to have these two in my display. Well, if you've stuck with me this far, thank you so much for watching this quick review and unboxing of the Tweeterhead Blue and Gray Batman 1/6 scale Maquette. As always, give us a like and subscribe to the channel, follow the Facebook group, and just go to batman-on-film.com for all your Batman movie and even some comic news. Again, thanks for watching.